Good morning and welcome to Wading into Retirement. In today's episode, we attempt to open a bank account in Mexico. Come and join me. So I'm here in San Miguel de Allende and I'm in the downtown square and I'm waiting for a bank appointment that I have at 10 a.m. I've researched some banks and I think I'm going to go with Intercam, although who knows, maybe I'll change a couple times, but that's where we're going to start. So I have an appointment at 10 a.m., which is about 15 minutes from now, and I have a lot of questions. But that's normal, I think, for opening a bank account in an international country for me. So we will see how this goes, and I'm not going to be able to actually video the process inside the bank, but we'll certainly give you the aftermath right after this. Hey everyone, Mike back here. So it was an interesting experience at the bank. Let me start by saying I did not leave there with an open bank account, but only because things are complicated in Mexico. So I went in, they had a checklist of about 15 items that I needed to present, depending on which situation I was in. So if I was going to put my address in Canada on the bank account, I needed to give them my last bank statement. They needed a picture of the front of my house, which was kind of an interesting thing to ask for. I could have taken a picture of any house for that matter. But I did have an address in Mexico as well, because I have a signed lease agreement. So I provided that lease agreement, and then they required the CFE, or the electrical bill, from that property. So that did not have my name on it, but it did the trick. So with that and 2 references and my passport and my residency card, they had everything that they needed. Now, she was quite excited that I was able to come up with all this stuff. So I thought, oh gee, this isn't going to take very long. So once she had it all, she said to me, okay, we'll call you in 2 to 3 days. And I said, all right, that's fine, but I'm not going to be in Mexico in 2 to 3 days. And what they were looking for, I assume it goes to a head office or something, and they actually create the bank account. Once it's created, I then go back into the local branch after they contact me, sign some papers, and make a deposit. So the minimum deposit to open the account was 10,000 pesos. So I had all that in hand and ready, but I have to wait for a phone call to go back. Now they're going to try and do that in a day and a half turnaround before I fly back home. If they don't do that, I'm not exactly sure what that means. I am back in about another month in Mexico. Maybe it will just be there waiting for me when I return, but she seemed to have a look on her face like that might not be the best scenario. So maybe I'd have to start the process over again in a month and give myself a little more time when I'm here. But that's where I'm at. I left. I felt good that they had everything that they needed, but I do not have an open bank account yet. So yeah, that's where it's at. One thing to add to this is that some banks in Mexico require that you have an RFC, code, and that's a financial code in Mexico. I do not have an RFC. I would have to go stand in line to get that. But you can still open a bank account without an RFC. And there's a lot of YouTubers out there that say you have to have an RFC. You need an RFC if you're going to have income in Mexico, or you're going to buy a house in Mexico or a car in Mexico. Then you definitely need that RFC number. But just to open up a bank account to be able to transfer money from your home country down here to be able to spend on a weekly basis, you don't necessarily need that RFC. Now, I will go ahead and get one at some point and apply it to this bank account, which will kind of change the status on the bank account. But that's for another video. So that's it for now. We will see what happens. Hey everyone, Mike here. It's day 2 of the quest to get a bank account in Mexico. So I'm leaving on a flight early tomorrow morning, as I mentioned previously. They did rush some paperwork through. I got a call, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I ran down to the bank and I physically signed all these papers and thought I was done. But no, there are more steps to come. So they have to fax all of the forms back to head office, then activate the account. Once the account is activated, they then give the approval for the local branch to actually hand me the debit card or the withdrawal card so that I can use the account. And I also have to make a deposit in the account right away. The chances of that happening in the next 2 hours are probably slim to none, as the agent told me. So what that means is when I am back in Canada, I will have to wire money to the account in order to actually have it activated, which will take a little bit longer. And the next time I am in town here in San Miguel, I can drop by the branch and pick up my debit card, and hopefully I will be good to go at that point. It's been a lot of steps to this point. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, it's Mike back here with Wading into Retirement. So this banking episode has been done in different segments, and I am now back in Canada. So where we left off was I was sitting on a park bench wondering if I was going to get a call before I had to jump on a plane. I did get that call with 15 minutes before the bank was supposed to close. They had the account ready. So I went back in. They had a very detailed process for giving me a banking card, a debit card, which required a whole bunch of phone calls to head office and verifying it was me. But after about an hour, I got that and I walked out of there with my bank card and with an open bank account. So success overall. So since I've been back here in Canada, I've tried to do some electronic transfers into that account. And it took a couple tries. The instructions that they actually gave me at Intercam were not accurate. But I was able to dig around and figure it out myself. I use Royal Bank here in Canada, and I was able to do an international transfer into that account. The other thing that was interesting with Intercam is that the executive there told me that one of my options for getting money into that Intercam account was just to write a Canadian check on my Canadian bank account, write it to myself, and deposit into the Mexican account. So apparently that's how a lot of people go about this. They don't actually do the electronic transfer, which sometimes you can have fees with doing that. They just write a check to themselves on a monthly basis and deposit it into their Mexican bank account. She told me it takes a day or two to clear, but that is probably the simplest low-tech way of moving money from your home country into your Mexican bank account. So overall, there were multiple trips to the bank. It all ended well. It was an interesting process. It was a long process, longer than I thought it would be. But to be expected, things can be a little bit slower or a little bit more bureaucratic in Mexico. So far, that's what we're finding. So I hope you found this episode interesting. If you like our content and you would like to subscribe, please do so. That really helps us. And I hope you have a great day and have a good banking experience in Mexico like I did. Bye for now.